The most dangerous show in television history was not Breaking Bad. It was not The Sopranos. It was a cartoon about a fat man who strangles his son, and the network that aired it never saw it coming. Fox did not just greenlight The Simpsons, they handed it a weapon. It was a single contractual clause buried in a 1989 deal that no network had ever given a show before, and that would make The Simpsons legally, creatively, and culturally untouchable for the next 3 decades. But here is what nobody talks about. That clause did not just protect the show, it changed what television was allowed to be, forever. To understand how, you need to go back to the world The Simpsons walked into, and what it did to that world the moment it arrived. Before Springfield, there was a lie. In 1989, American primetime television was selling a fantasy, the fantasy of the functional family. The Huxtables were wise and warm. The Seavers resolved their problems in 22 minutes. Problems arose in Act 1 and disappeared with a hug in Act 3. Then, Homer Simpson drove his car into a tree and blamed Bart. The Simpsons arrived like a hand grenade disguised as a birthday cake. On the surface, a family show. Parents, kids, a dog, a house in the suburbs. Underneath, a surgical autopsy of every lie primetime had been telling for a decade. Homer wasn't wise. He was negligent, impulsive, and spectacular in his failures. Marge wasn't a saint. She was exhausted and invisible. Bart wasn't a lovable scamp with a lesson to learn. He was a genuine anarchist who never learned anything and was right not to. This wasn't a family show. It was a family show that knew exactly what family shows were doing. America had been watching a mirror that only showed its best side. The Simpsons smashed it and handed the pieces back 1 episode at a time. By season 4, the writer's room had produced some of the most architecturally sophisticated comedy in television history. Harvard graduates argued with underground cartoonists. Former stand-ups rewrote novelists' punchlines at 2 a.m. The flat hierarchy meant anyone's joke could make the final cut. What came out of that room was not product. It was literature, with a laugh track it did not need. None of it would have existed without that clause. And the story of how they got it is the story of a network that blinked first. The clause that changed everything Fox needed. The Simpsons more than The Simpsons needed Fox. That's the fact Fox tried to hide, and the fact Matt Groening and James L. Brooks used to extract something almost no television creator had ever held. Full creative autonomy. No mandatory network notes, no enforced script changes, no interference of any kind. Fox had handed a cartoon family the keys to the kingdom. They signed the paperwork before they understood what they'd done. They built a wall around the show and then gave the show permission to burn down everything on the other side. The clause held immediately. When President George H.W. Bush went on national television in 1992 and declared that American families needed to be more like the Waltons and less like The Simpsons, the writers didn't apologize. They aired a response within weeks. Bart looked into the camera and noted that The Simpsons and the Waltons had something in common. Both families were praying for the end of the Depression. Fox wanted political satire pulled back. The show got sharper. Advertisers complained about specific episodes. The show filed the letters and moved on. Censors flagged content. The writers found more elegant ways to say the exact same thing and said it louder. This was the natural output of a culture told, contractually, that the work came first, and that culture produced something no network note could manufacture: genuine artistic confidence. Genuine artistic confidence, it turns out, is almost indistinguishable from prophecy. If you're not subscribed yet, The Simpsons would have predicted you'd fix that right now. Subscribe. The show that kept predicting the future. Here is where it gets unsettling. That same writer's room began producing, in the mid-1990s, material that looked less like satire and more like a newsfeed from the future. A 1995 episode showed Disney acquiring Fox. The actual deal happened in 2019, 23 years later. A 2000 episode depicted a Trump presidency, complete with the gold escalator energy. Smartwatches, autocorrect, video calls, faulty voting machines, a specific Nobel Prize winner, and over 100 documented predictions, each more unsettling than the last. Many people conclude that the writers somehow knew. They did not. What they had was more valuable than foresight. They had a room full of people who understood systems so precisely that extrapolation was the natural output. When you know how corporate power consolidates, the Disney-Fox merger is visible years before any lawyers meet. When you know how celebrity ego and political theater intersect, a Trump presidency is not a prediction, it is a logical conclusion. The Simpsons was not psychic. It was the only show on television that was actually paying attention. And that reputation became armor. You do not publicly attack a show that already wrote your obituary. You do not cancel a show that predicted your own merger. The clause gave them legal protection. The predictions gave them something stronger, the sense that the show existed outside of time itself. Here's the part Fox never recovered from. That same clause that protected the show in 1989 also meant they could not pull it when the ratings softened, could not force a reboot, and could not interfere when it outlived its own cultural moment. The weapon they handed the show in desperation was the same weapon that made it impossible to put down. This made what came next, the trap, all the more ironic. What it built and what it became. The Simpsons detonated a doorway. Within a decade, South Park arrived. Then Family Guy, Futurama, Archer, Bob's Burgers, Rick and Morty. Every single one exists because The Simpsons proved animation could carry adult intelligence, political edge, and genuine emotional weight. It rewrote the agreement between television and its audience permanently. But the most successful shows always hit the same trap. As the alternatives multiplied, The Simpsons went from the only option to one among many. The show that once seemed dangerous started to seem, to younger viewers, like furniture, institution. And there is no sharper irony in television history than a show that spent 15 years satirizing institutions, then quietly becoming one. It had spent a decade and a half teaching the world to mock the establishment, and then it became the establishment it had been mocking. The debate about the creative peak is real. Most fans place it between seasons 3 and 8, and they are not wrong. But that debate misses the more extraordinary question. The show is still running. Season 35 aired in 2024. No other scripted series in American television history comes close. It outlasted the president who attacked it, the network that tried to control it, the shows it inspired, and every wave that was supposed to replace it. That clause, the one Fox signed without understanding, is still in effect. The room is still protected. The work still comes first. And when television tells The Simpsons what to do, the answer is always the same. It laughs, not out loud, not to anyone's face. But somewhere in a writer's room that has been running longer than most of its viewers have been alive, the next episode is already being written. Unchanged, untouchable, and absolutely certain it will outlast whatever comes next.